This week's lesson is on the scientific method. Now that we have gotten to know some famous scientists, we will start to see how they did it. This is the scientific method. It is a flowchart for answering questions in a systematic manner. While some scientists have had brilliant moments of inspiration, 99.99% of all scientific breakthroughs have come from carefully and rigorously following this method. We will see that not all steps lead directly to the next, and that different fields of study apply this method in slightly different ways. We will have plenty of time to investigate the subtle differences, but for now, these are the steps. Ask a question, form a hypothesis, test the hypothesis, analyze the results, and draw conclusions. In section 2, we start by asking a question. The question is always based on an observation. In this case, it was observed that many frogs in Minnesota were deformed. The scientists asked, what was causing the deformities? Next, the scientists formed a hypothesis. In this case, the scientists proposed 3 separate hypotheses. They do this because nobody knows the exact cause. Several hypotheses are presented, and they will test each to determine the most likely explanation. The 3 possible causes for the frog deformities are contaminated water, parasites, and UV radiation. With 3 hypotheses in place, the scientists are ready to test each of them. They do this by designing an experiment to test each hypothesis individually. The scientists must perform a controlled experiment. This means that they will test the factors one at a time: contamination, parasites, and UV radiation. In order to determine which factor is affecting the results, the scientists choose one factor to change by either adding it or taking it away to see how that change affects the results. This factor is called the variable. Next, the scientists run the experiment and collect the data. In this case, the data is the change in number of deformed frogs resulting from differences in each variable. The data is analyzed to see which hypothesis is the most likely explanation. Finally, the scientists will conclude if a particular variable is a likely cause of the deformities. In this case, it is found that UV radiation could be a likely cause of the frog deformities. One of the most important steps in the scientific method is the communicating of the results. Many discoveries are the result of many scientists working on the same problem. Correctly communicating our results helps other scientists to continue our work. As practice, your assignment will be to write a letter to the MPCA that communicates the conclusions from the investigation of the deformed frogs. Be sure to mention the steps that were used to determine what could be causing the deformities.